99% of the enterprise data, the business data, is untouched by AI. So that storytelling is just quintessential, no matter you're talking quantum, AI, hybrid cloud, or you're just talking people. Humanizing technology, making it to the doorsteps of people. I think that's where the cookie crumbles.
Hello and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series, a series of one-on-one interactions with top brand and marketing leaders who share their industry insights and strategies that have helped shape their stories. This series, hosted by Hindustan Times, offers a behind-the-scenes look at how leaders adjust their strategies for changing consumer behavior while leveraging media channels that improve customer relationships. Today, we are diving deep into a conversation that's long overdue, the AI story no one's telling. Because, let's be honest, when most people hear AI, they think of chatbots, viral art, filters, or maybe a slightly smarter version of autocomplete. But there's a bigger, quieter story unfolding behind boardroom doors and data center firewalls, enterprise AI. And here to decode it with us is someone who has lived at the intersection of journalism, communication, and technology. Tuhina Pandey, Director APAC Communications and Marketing at IBM India and South Asia. Tuhina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Lovely to be with you.
How does it feel to be on the other side when you were actually interviewing various tech leaders at once upon a time?
It's interesting. That's poetic justice, I would say. I'm getting used to it.
So walk us through the journey. How has it been?
Fantastic, actually. We met when I was a journalist, and one thing led to the other. But I think the consistent part was curiosity, wanting to know new things, wanting to decode them, wanting to simplify it and bring it to people in the way that it makes sense to them. And that's been the connective tissue, really. And technology was always fascinating to me. I was also a tech journalist and a tech editor. So it is the best of the both worlds, because I genuinely believe that every tech story has a big heart. It's about people. It's about what it does for you and I, and the bridges it sort of brings together people, how it helps people, what it does for our life. I think that's been an exciting part. So I think it's been a journey and quite exciting.
So it's very safe to say that storytelling doesn't change. Whether you wear many hats, whether as a journalist or a communicator or a CMO, you still need to talk to an audience. Some call it consumers, some call it customers, but storytelling doesn't change.
It doesn't. And frankly, that's how we consume content. Whether you are a CEO or a CMO or a business leader, how we remember is how we've culturally consumed stories, right? Through generations, in ways that we can relate to. We are in that story, our problems reflected in that story, and there is a connection. So that storytelling is just quintessential, no matter you're talking quantum, AI, hybrid cloud, or you're just talking people, right? So that doesn't change.
But how do you see the intersection of technology and storytelling happening over the years? Because technology is growing and changing at such a rapid pace. So how do you look at this evolution?
Absolutely, Abhishek. Like I said, for me, every technology story has a big heart. And what I mean by that is the intersection is truly about what it is doing for us. Right? What happened in a telecom revolution, the data revolution, and the UPI that we experience today, and how it is embedded in our lives. For me, I have watched it from that vantage point. So the intersection for me is always there. Sometimes, yes, I know that people can kind of get obsessed with the jargons and, throwing big concepts.
Yes.
But ultimately, you have to connect it to what it has done lately for you and I. And that's where storytelling makes a huge difference. Humanizing technology, making it to the doorsteps of people. I think that's where the cookie crumbles.
Let's touch upon enterprise AI. That's the piece that you're overseeing right now. While consumer AI is getting its share bit of attention, and there's a lot of action happening there with everybody part of AI in some way or the other. It's on WhatsApp now.
Yeah.
What does the world look like, and what is left to touch upon?
Yeah. So, when it comes to writing love poems and essays and working with it, it's fantastic, the consumer AI, right? But when it comes to enterprises, serious business, imagine if you are accountable to what went into the data, the biases that it may inherently have. What if we end up in a court of law? We got to be able to own the outcomes in a very big way. And that is serious business. And just to put it in perspective, Abhishek, 99% of the enterprise data, the business data, is untouched by AI, untapped by AI. And a lot of that is sitting as unstructured data. So there is almost a data trap, and your AI is as good as your data. So what we are probably standing at, because the hype is sort of tapered off, we are now moving from experimentation to real implementations. And now you will have an accelerated adoption of AI and value unlock in the enterprise business. And finally, I'll end with this. Just to make it simple, what does an engine of a car do? Every part of a car is important, but the engine is what fuels and propels it forward. And that is what enterprises, it's that engine. When that engine cranks up, the economy, the AI adoption, and the world around us will change dramatically.
You've always emphasized that about power of storytelling in marketing, but how do you see that emotional connect coming about in the enterprise audiences, where there's so much of focus on ROI? There's keep talking about so many complex jargons, and it's so abstract. And to be fair, AI is still new to a lot of people. So how are you navigating that piece?
So it's not so difficult in my mind. The moment I turn the vantage from what I need to do, what my brand needs to do, to what my client needs, what is the problem that I need to solve? The moment you do that, ultimately you're solving a problem for another human being. People buy from people. And yes, in enterprise AI, there is a huge part of rational buying. And for that, your data telling has to be top speed.
Yeah.
You really have to be buttoned up around that. But at the same time, don't forget that you're talking to another human being, and people buy from people, and that doesn't change. So for me, it's a nice mix of what is needed where. You could actually do very rational part of a pitch one place, but you could have a very relationship-based decision making in another place, because trust, credibility, reputation in an otherwise volatile market matters a lot. You ultimately, when you have similar products, which one do you buy? Is the one that you trust more, is the one that you feel is more credible, you have a relationship with. So I think it's not either or, it's an and.
So the narrative around AI, I want to speak about enterprise AI so freely, but when you look at AI from a layman's perspective, it's all about organizing your data. Though people are using it in different ways for finding answers to their question papers, but that's not really the job of AI. The AI's job is to make our life easier. So is that narrative similar in the enterprise AI space? Is that something we can look at?
Of course, I think the word is augment. And I sometimes talk about this AI paradox, right? What AI can do really well, or let's say if we talk about compute and analysis at speed, data discovery and data analysis, all of that. The creative vision that we bring in, the direction, connecting the dots, understanding the context, we are far more efficient when we bring the best of both worlds. So I call it the augment. It's not the other way around. And enterprise, it's not very different. What can AI do for us? But it's also what can we do for AI for it to be a win-win. There's no magic wand there. It's hard yards. And I was just giving this example to someone that think of it as a kid on the block. Every kid, no matter how great they are or curious they are and learning and, have great ideas, they are still at a toddler stage, and you got to learn with it, grow with it, and figure out your relationship with it. So I think that's where it's all unfolding at this point in time.
Doesn't that really scare some of your ecosystem partners who may think that one day AI gets smart and outthink them on some of the decisions? Does those kind of questions come to you?
I love that crystal ball gazing, and I have talked about this post-AI world and what does it happen. Look, you got to be fearless and be bold in this new world, and I always look at the world glass half full, because optimists are the ones who shape the future, right? Not so much scared, Abhishek, but conscious of the fact that are we getting this right?
Yeah.
And when I talk about that AI paradox, AI can do so much for us, but are we really fluent in AI? Are we really skilled in AI? Do we understand this relationship? How will the behavior change? So I'm more conscious of we don't, we use the opportunity well versus scared, because honestly, nobody knows the future. It's not worth getting scared of.
Yeah, speaking about scared, but you also have responsible AI.
Yes.
I just want to double click on that. IBM has been a champion when it comes to responsible and ethical AI. And in this era of rapid innovation, how are you balancing the message of being cutting edge while staying grounded in trust and ethics?
Look, I don't think it's a balance. Responsible AI is responsible business, right? Like I said, you don't want to be running very hard and you think you're winning the race, but you're actually running in the opposite direction. You don't want your data to be questioned, your outcomes, causing trouble or challenges or crisis. You want to be accountable to your customers. You want to know what is inside that data. Is it fair? There are inherent biases. Have you taken care of that? Do you know the data that has gone in? What is the source of that data? You make sure it's not hallucinating. The only way to do it is doing it responsibly, because that's how you will win the race and the long game.
So have you seen any cases of misuse, or has any of your clients or partners pulled out any use case study where AI was not used responsibly?
Look, I wouldn't want to take names, but a quick search on the internet will tell you a lot of stories. And I think it is important that we put in the hard yards.
Yeah.
We work on our foundation, build a culture for AI, build a foundation for AI, get the data right, get the responsible AI tenets right, and then you scale and harness it as much as you want. But doing it the wrong way will not just deter the people who probably making those mistakes, but it will also deter the industry, and we'll not be able to confidently adopt and embrace AI. And I think it's in everyone's interest to be responsible. Responsible AI is responsible business, and that's just the common sense I feel.
Yeah, so Tuhina, that makes AI dialogues even more relevant, because that's where you need to have a forum where you can have a clean exchange forum where you talk about responsible AI, and obviously able to bridge the gap between tech insiders and the broader audiences.
Absolutely. We really need to simplify this AI rush, right? It is a conversation when people sit down, talk about the possibilities, talk about the challenges, explain each other's experiences, learn from each other's mistakes. You got to have this dialogue continuing as we master this craft and as we move into this AI era. So that conversation is absolutely critical, and AI dialogues, I think, unlocked that very much. And you also have to make it a little bit unintimidating,
Yes.
the conversation. So I guess that's the effort, to have seamless dialogue around AI and everything about it as we move into this journey.
I want to ask one more question on
Yes, please.
AI dialogues, wherein have you had any instances where somebody has responded or asked a certain question which something that you said, yeah, this is a good question, we all miss out on it? Any insights that have come from the audiences?
I think the boring question of data. Look, we've been wanting to solve that for decades. And AI, to be honest, Abhishek, has been there in some form and shape for long. And that evolution, we talk about the revolution, but very little about the evolution. If we don't get that evolution right, the data right, then the AI will miss the mark. It will not even do a percentage of what it's capable of. And that's why I said 99% of the data is untouched. Can we fix the ground? Can we do the hygiene? Can we do the foundational work? That sometimes does get into the deep end of almost being boring, but that is the most important conversation today.
That's very interesting. Agentic AI now, there's the rise of agentic AI and AI that is basically making decisions and acts on how. So how do one address these concerns where when there's a question mark on accountability and autonomy? Where does your stand when it comes to ethics? Where do you draw the line?
Right. Look, it's not a capability issue. As you said, we've seen this evolution from bots, the botification of economy, to AI assistants, and to now agents who can act on your behalf. They're not just assisting you. And the autonomous nature of agents is what is the most powerful element of what they can do, but that also brings in these concerns that you talked about. And that's where we have a role to play. Are we giving agents the right environment, the right guardrails, the right governance framework? How are we plumbing that in before we leave agents to do what they are best at? We need to give them a purpose. We need to give them the right environment. And then what they can achieve, frankly, I feel that revolution is already there. I don't think it's much in the future. The AI agents are probably the most logical extension of the AI journey. And it's a very powerful space that we are getting in. And imagine a world where your agents are talking to agents. And I was actually at a forum talking about the marketing of post-AI world. We don't know if we will be marketing to people anymore, right? You will probably have agents and AI systems marketing to AI systems. So that is happening. There's no point hoping and delaying the future that is already at your doorstep. It's important to get used to it, do the right things, and then run with it.
Anybody asked me today, where do you go and consume your AI content? I would say probably Black Mirror. But that's on a lighter note, but I'm sure you're also consuming a lot of content. So on a lighter note, is there any book, podcast, or show that has really shaped your view, or you feel that this is relevant content and you need to keep listening to some of this?
That'll be a big, long list. But I'll say something that I would not usually pick up but stayed with me is this book called The Intelligence Trap. And the meaning is very profound and it has stayed with me, is the most intelligent people may not be the most wise people. And there is almost that loop of defaulting onto what you already know. And therefore, this need to be stupid. If you can be stupid in the room, there is a good chance you'll be smart at something new.
Sure.
So I think that for me is very important, especially in the world that we are in. I don't think we have any experience. We are in a zero experience age. Everyone who walks in and says, I know this for 15 years, well, that's not true anymore. So you got to be willing to be stupid. You got to be that person who doesn't know everything, and you got to be comfortable with that, no matter how much experience or body of work you have with you. So I guess that'll be something.
So how do you navigate conversations inside the room when you are talking to your team? When it comes to innovation, when it comes to trying out new approaches, how do you navigate that piece?
So I say two things actually. One is the boundaries that exist in our minds, our designations, our roles. I think we need to park that aside. Come to your work through a problem-solving approach. What are you solving is more important than what your designation is, what your function is, what are your skills. It's important that you solve a problem. When you are focused on that, you'll not only bring your skills to it, but you'll bring in others who will compensate for the skills that you don't have, right? So that is one. be a problem solver. And the second piece is, I always say that just be unique. We don't have to become a template. And sometimes a lot of the team members who are early in their careers, they would like to emulate others. And it's great to be inspired by others and learn from each other. But the unique differentiator for anyone is just who they are. And I always tell them you are unique, and that is your biggest differentiator. So those will be the two elements on my mind.
Those are the conversations that also help you when it comes to imbibing certain leadership traits, because at the end of the day, marketing can be in any spectrum, it can be in any field, it can be in any space. But since it's tech, do you think that these are essential traits that you need to have as a leader?
I learn every day, and one of the biggest learning in the last few years have been situational leaderships. Right? Situational leadership is not about one leadership style or one leader being right or wrong. It's what the time demands, right? And also a gardener leader, if you will. Like, I tried my hand at gardening, I was so bad at it. But what treatment a tomato needs is very different than a rose. And how much water, sometimes too much water is bad, too much love and too much of it may turn out to be not so good. So who do you challenge? Who do you nurture? Who do you embrace? How do you lead? All of that is pretty dynamic, and it's a learning every day. So I guess what keeps me abreast is being stupid. I'm comfortable being stupid.
So looking ahead, what the next 3 to 5 years look like when it comes to tech marketing? Because obviously every 6 months something new is going to develop, and we'll obviously want to get close to that. But in a world which is getting shaped more and more by generative AI, and there's data privacy, and there's these immersive tools. So how are you looking at the future in the next 3 to 5 years from a marketing perspective?
I think augmentation will be key. AI and human augmentation when it comes to content generation, ideas generation, scripting, like the iterative process. Maybe not the ultimate outcome. You're still reviewing, owning the outcome, but AI will become your best colleague or the colleague that you work with. So it's important that we figure that out. That's one piece which is going to really move. And that relationship, what's a construct? Organization will start to morph. How do human AI colleagues sit side by side and collaborate and co-create? So I think that is getting real. The other piece is the user-led marketing, because I think the power is shifting. I think there is more awareness, there is more democracy, or let's say it's a more democratic world, access, it's a much more open world. I think users are finding their voice. And user-led marketing, it's not the push, it's the pull, and it's how you sort of get into this collaborative marketing, collaborative economy, conversational economy. I think that will become superbly important. And finally, the problems of the time, which is you will have a tremendous amount of pressure on profitability. So every penny counts, right? So it's not enough that you create demand or generate revenue or help do that, but at what cost? I think that one of the IBM studies recently, a CMO study, talked about an overwhelming percentage of marketers worried about profitability. Bottom line is the bottom line right now. So I think those will be the areas where I feel there is maximum disruption and opportunity in the next 3 to 4 years horizon.
Understood. There's this whole talk that AI is going to take everybody's jobs, but when I look back and see kids or students in colleges or in schools are using AI to get better at studies. So there's clearly no fear when it comes to dabbling with AI. So is it a phase wherein we will learn to work with AI and make it a more collaborative system, or do you feel like everything is going to be passed on to the AI and is going to be doing all the work?
Well, I want a world where I don't have to work anymore, right? I mean, AI has taken over every task, everything. That's not happening, right? It's like I said, it's an augmentation. And I'm not a future teller, so I don't know what lies ahead.
No, from a
at
consumer.
2027, but yeah.
No, well, I'm sorry
Please
to
go ahead,
interject.
go ahead.
I was saying the comfort level of working with AI. Because there's this whole school of thought AI is going to take your jobs away, but the way things are going, we are working more with AI. So in fact, it's not going to take our jobs away.
Yeah, AI is a net job creator. Prompt engineers, we didn't know they exist, right? Then you will have probably chief questions officer at some point in time. Who asks the better question is more important than getting the answer, right? You have AI architects, you have the whole thing about what does a culture transformation look like in an AI world. I don't think that is going away. Internet didn't take away jobs. We are still working long hours, right? Are we not? It's mobile phones. It's a different kind of a job, but it's not a sort of this or that.
Yes.
It's a new world, right?
So it's the next phase of evolution.
It's a next phase of evolution. We'll all have a lot to worry about and a lot to do and a lot of value to add.
Absolutely. You spoke about how there's so much emphasis on ROI. So how is your conversation with fellow CXOs, whether it's a CFO or it's the Chief Technology Officer? Because at the end of the day, marketers also are becoming like Chief MarTech officers in some way or the other. So tell us about that. What are your conversations with your other cohorts?
Right. So look, I would say it's a mixed bag. And all the CXOs are the boardrooms do worry about growth, right?
Yeah.
That is one North Star for them.
Yeah.
Growth, expansion, business model innovation, because things are changing so fast. So growth is really the big conversation. But like I said, equally important is at what cost.
Right.
You don't want to you want to be proportionate. So I think that bottom line and top line conversation has become more equal versus throwing money at something without really worrying about the ROI. So that's what it is. And as we go through this disruption more and more, as businesses disrupt, as societies disrupt, as the world disrupts around us, I think that's a fair question to ask. And I'm asking that question to myself as well, that how efficiently can I do? Less is more is quite a statement everywhere.
Story in most sectors where it's all about ROI. So that brings me to the question for young marketers who want to make a career in tech. What would be your advice? Obviously, you've gone through so many multiple hats. What would you say to them now?
Well, one is just be bold and dream big, dream mad, be crazy about it. Don't box yourself in boundaries. I think that itself is a very big power. When you don't know what's not possible, everything's possible.
Awesome.
Right? And the final thing I would say, and what I said, Abhishek, earlier as well, it's important that they stay who they are, because that's the only differentiation. Don't try and become someone else. Just be you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tuhina, for making time for us and for our audiences. I wish you all the best, and I hope you continue making this world a smarter place.
I love that. Thank you so much, Abhishek. Lovely.
For your time.
Absolutely.
Tuhina, thank you for pulling back the curtain with us today. From decoding the enterprise AI revolution to spotlighting the human side of storytelling, this has been a conversation full of clarity and foresight. To all our viewers, thank you for joining us on this episode of HT Brand Leadership Series. We'll be back soon with more voices that are shaping the business of tomorrow.